The story is always the same. Last minute, I had volunteered to drive one of the emergency response vehicles in Irv. If necessary, I was told, don't worry about it, we've already got 2 people from Cincinnati that are signed up to do it. I said, that's great. And then on Saturday about 2:30 or 3 o'clock, they called and said, can you go? And I said, let me check. It's always one of those, check with your wife, check the schedule, make sure you can be gone for 2 weeks. That's a big chunk of time. And I said, yeah. They said, can you go in 2 hours? I said, no. How about 2.5 hours? It just, doesn't work. And they said, that'll be fine. And oh, by the way, you'll have to drive to Dayton and pick up the partner that's going with you, Lynn.
Well, again, I'd been watching coverage on television of this big storm that was coming. I sent an email to the emergency services director saying I was available to drive if she needed me. About an hour later, she said, I have a gentleman from Cincinnati who can drive if you can be his partner. I said, okay, and she said, we want you guys to leave by 6. And that gave me about 4 hours to get ready and get down to the chapter office.
I was in mass care and sheltering. So that means I work at the client shelters, which are usually high schools or churches or hospitals. We take care of the clients. We provide food, mental health, and any moral support that they might need, running the shelter pretty much. So.
Well, as Irv drivers, we were primarily there to pick up food from the kitchen, deliver it to a location, or do mobile feeding, which is where we hand the food out the window of the truck. Sometimes the Irvs are used to carry supplies, cleaning supplies, bulk distribution, but we were always handling food on this deployment.
We delivered to shelters where the people said, we're glad you're here because we didn't know where we were going to get the food for our next feeding. We delivered to shelters where it was dark out, and we hit live wires on the road while we were getting there. We delivered food out the window in Staten Island, where the damage was most apparent.
And then I went to Staten Island, and I was there most of my time. I was working at a hospital, Bailey Seton Hospital on Staten Island. And there we had over 100 clients and over 30 animals. And I was the night shift, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. every day. So we did dinner and breakfast, and all night we would provide snacks for them. They would come and talk to us about what they were feeling, and most of them couldn't sleep. So we were just there to help in any way that we could.
And our first couple of trips were to shelters where people were okay. They had left their homes. It wasn't until we took the trip to Staten Island that we realized how huge of a disaster it was.
People, young and old both, lose many times everything. From the youngest child who loses their teddy bear or their blankie, to the elderly couple who have lived a lifetime in a single house maybe.
Since I've been back, it's been really hard. I was so immersed in that world for, it was 2 weeks, but it felt so much longer. And having all my senses heightened for that time and running on pure adrenaline, I came back and I just crashed. I crashed physically and emotionally, and it was difficult because I didn't have too many people around who understood what it was like and what we went through. So I still reach out to my team members, and they're all over the country, but we still talk all the time, and we offer each other support.
You have thousands of people called and being organized and working together on a moment's notice. It's almost impossible for things to work smoothly because of everybody just getting there and just doing their job. And amazingly, out of all that chaos, it happens.